know what's coming.
Your daily deep dive into everything Utah Jazz.
It's time.
All season long and even in the off season. It's Jazz Daily with JJ and Alex on your exclusive home of Utah Jazz basketball. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Is this a typo on my rundown right here, Annapolis? 4 tickets? Is that right? Oh, my heavens. Our producer, Alex Annapolis, getting generous with the ticket giveaway. It's Jazz Daily, of course. Perfect time to be able to give out some Jazz tickets. How about a family 4-pack? Coming to see the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls next week, 11/16. Check it out for yourself. Oh, no, that's on Sunday, right? Yeah. Check it out for yourself. Hit us up, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663. You can check out the Bulls coming to the Delta Center this Sunday. Family 4-pack of tickets right now. Jazz Daily, of course, as usual, being able to chat about this Jazz team. And I know it's a Football Friday. We had to break away from it. And this is certainly a guy who could talk about football, too. But Jake Scott, of course, Utah Jazz pre-post and halftime host on the Jazz Radio Network and SEG Radio Network and all of it. But he also has Jake and Ben fame. What's going on, Jake? How are you, man? Thanks for hanging out with us on a Friday.
Alex, Mitch, how we living? We doing good?
Oh, yeah, they got the food in front of us. It's you know how it is. I'm trying to be a good boy, and it's hard, man. It's hard to do. So, but it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to have the barbecue on a Friday afternoon. So
I'm not being a good boy.
No. Mitch and I. You got to dive in. Look, you're not going to refuse your host, who's going to give you a bunch of food when you show up to these things. You got to be nice. You got to. You know
is your guy Alex Annapolis, who has to just listen to this the entire show.
I know, that poor guy.
I used to produce back in the day, and I'd be like, oh, great, you guys are having a lot of food. That's good for you.
Yeah, and we're turning it away. We're like, I'm full. I can't take any more. And our producer's back there.
And I've been there. It's cool. And then you complain that, like, oh, I have to sit here while I look at it. Meanwhile, Alex is again going, oh, how nice for you. That's
cool. He's all, let me throw this mac and cheese in the microwave outside of the studio here. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Exactly. Thanks so much.
Shout out to
Annapolis. Yeah, that's the sacrifice he's making there back at the station. I will say this, Jake, it's been kind of fun to watch Ace Bailey turn a corner this week. This is the best week that he's had as a Jazz man. Is it a little bit attributed to him getting kind of the full health? Well, also, what has he kind of learned in the last couple of games? I got to watch him in person on Monday, or not on Monday, I guess it was Tuesday when he had his first start. And, he's kind of getting his feet under him. He definitely looks like a rookie, but what's the biggest thing that rookies like him have to do to turn that corner to start having nights like he had last night and like he had the other night in the 152-point onslaught when he scored 20?
Short answer is he's going to have to listen. Rookies have a lot to learn, and it's Ace's journey. I think is going to be fascinating to watch because he comes out of Rutgers, and what was his kind of MO was like, oh, he's taking bad shots, and he's not necessarily thinking the game. He's super talented, but he's, on and on and on, right? We remember the pre-draft kind of what everybody was saying. And you could see a little bit of that, right? He nailed a couple of step backs. What was that, 2 games ago?
Yeah.
That step back corner 3, which is kind of in that vein, right? Where it's like, yeah, that's a bad shot for you, but I'm going to knock this down. But then he's also shown propensity to learn. And you want to talk about his journey just this past week. He's learning where to go on defense. It's really obvious. And you can see, it's not entirely there yet on some plays. Now, listen, Atlanta was doing whatever they wanted to in that game, and nobody was really playing any D. But you can, I think he's shown that he's willing to be coachable. And honestly, illness aside, I don't know anything about that. But the fact that he did come off the bench for a minute, I don't think is the worst thing in the world. It was funny after his first start, his post game. I think it might have been Ben who asked him. I can't remember, but somebody asked him. Somebody said, "Have you ever come off the bench before?" And he's like, "Nope, never once, never in his life, right? Had ever come off the bench." And there is an earn it factor, and we're still so early in the season. The fact that he's in the starting lineup obviously has something to do with him being the 5th pick. But, I don't hate it that he got that experience, and he didn't have a bad attitude through it, right? You never saw that. You never saw bad body language. And now you see him kind of melding his natural instincts with what the coaches want him to do, and I think that shows he's coachable. So I think that's all good news. He's obviously talented. I mean, I don't think anybody could deny that.
40 points for Markkanen last night. With how good he's been this year, one of the top scorers in the league, does that maybe change how you think this Jazz team should go about this season with a focus to try to just get a better draft pick, or actually try to make something of this season because of how good Markkanen has been this year?
Yeah, that's funny because this has been a big topic on our show, of course. I think Jazz fans in an ideal world, like my guy Gordon Monson, we used to call it the 100-acre wood, in the perfect world. The fans would want, and I think the franchise would want the team to try hard, play young, play as hard as you can. Let's try to win, but we're still going to lose, right? Because there's that draft pick out there, which I think it's so silly that this draft pick has just determined the Jazz strategy. They're just handcuffed to this draft pick. But it is what it is, as an old boss of mine used to say. So, I mean, at some point the rubber's going to meet the road. Because I agree with you, Mitch. I think they're a little bit better than I think if they tried hard and played well, they could get to the play-in. I mean, more than half the league now makes the playoffs, right? I mean, that isn't that crazy of a thing to think about if things break well. Now, I'll steel man my argument here in a second, but, that is a possibility out there. And what do you do then when you need to decide between the play-in, which, let's be honest, who cares about the play-in, and the draft pick? And I don't know. I would guess they'd throw it in the tank again if when it came right down to it. But to the can they thread the needle and try hard and lose? Walker Kessler being out makes them extraordinarily flawed. Like we're going to see a lot of games like we saw in Atlanta where the Jazz actually played unbelievably well offensively, but it was a layup line because they just don't. I mean, Nurk is not Walker. How about that?
No, I'm watching. I was going to say that because I'm watching Nurk come off the bench. He's got the back brace, that he walks off, off the bench with and takes the back brace off. And I'm like, oh boy. And then when he would step back and start shooting threes, you're like, okay, maybe get under the hoop for a minute. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you give these opportunities to some of these young guys. I mean, I don't know if Kyle Filipowski will ever kind of develop himself into a defensive guy, but that's one of those things that kind of needs to happen because it's been a lot of Olay this year. I know that it pisses Will Hardy off because he gets so mad when these guys aren't playing defense, and that's like the biggest thing for him is like the effort, and defense is such an effort thing in the NBA.
Yeah, well, he's getting after the guys on the perimeter because they need to stay in front of their guy. I mean, that they got to do better at doing that, especially now that Walker's not there. But this is the NBA. I mean, look at Jalen Johnson last night. You're not going to stay in front of that guy the whole game. It's just not. It's just not possible. Excuse me. And then they just don't have a last line of defense. And listen, Yusuf Nurkic has maybe my favorite backstory in the NBA. When he broke into the NBA, I couldn't help but I'm going to follow this dude and I'm going to cheer for this guy. I don't know if I've ever talked to you guys about it, but his dad was a cop in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and he beat up 14 guys at once. And it made it into the newspaper. It made it into the newspaper. And one of the agents over there, Mitch, you know how this works with, there's not, agents or scouts or whatever label you want to get it, who are just scouring for young people to bring to the States and play basketball. And one of these guys shows up at that front door and meets, Nurk's dad and says, "Do you have a son? Because we're going to teach him how to play basketball." You can Google it. You can Google Nurk's dad. He's a mountain of a human. It's wild. Yeah. Anyway, I've always kind of rooted for Nurk for that reason, but he has never had lateral quickness. He has never been able to jump, and now he's a little bit older. It's not going to happen. And then Kevin Love is not going to be the answer. I think we all know why. And Filipowski, he's in this weird tween mode where he's not a wing and he's not a big, and he can't really function in the big land, so he's not going to be the answer. And so they're really flawed. So long way of saying it. Maybe they can thread the needle, because that's really a problem. We're going to see a lot of games like we saw against the Hawks, because they don't have an answer to it.
Jake, I'm curious. It's kind of a off the beaten path question a little bit, but like with more than a handful of games at home in the new reconfigured Delta Center, does the Delta Center still to you kind of sound like the Delta Center's always been, with the new reconfigured look of the arena? Like, does it still feel like Jazz games? And I bring that up because this has always been a building that prides itself on being one of the loudest in the league. Does it still feel like that, and still feel like that same home court advantage it's been in the past?
Well, let me answer it this way. What was the number one reason for that environment? Was it A, the building, or B, the fans? I'm going to go with C.
Yeah.
Fans. Would you go with A?
I'd maybe go fans,
Dave.
but like but the layout though was so steep and just felt like you're on top of the game. And
but like, when were they? But to Jake's point, like, think about when it gets the most intense. It's during those playoff games that everybody goes, "Holy cow!"
That's fair.
You're not, and the games might be quote unquote sold out, but I've been in that building 4 or 5 times this year for the games, and I'm like, that's it's light compared to what it used to be.
I'm not going to discount A. All right, the building matters. Like, look at the spectrum up in Logan. The fans are responsible for that environment too. But the fact that there's a lid on that stadium and all that makes a difference. I get it. I get the question, but I think it's always been about the fans and some minor structural adjustments that you barely even notice if you do. I don't think has really any sort of impact. I mean, we could get measure the decibel or whatever, but I think it's fine. It's more. I'll say this: it's more cool for hockey. The way it looks for hockey is really cool. And I had a buddy who sat in that section for one of the games this year, and being right on top like that for hockey is unique and super sweet.
Jake, we appreciate you taking a Friday afternoon with us, man, and taking a few minutes to answer some Jazz questions. Appreciate it. And,
no problem. My cup of noodles is ready, so I'm gonna just dive into that. And it's
the old Don Julio bean burrito. That's good.
Just say hi to Kenny for me. Tell him I admire his work.
There you go. Jake Scott, everybody. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Hey, by the way, we're going to speak with Kenny around the corner here. We'll come back. We've got more to go. We'll tell you how to get yourself hooked up on pre-ordering some of these Thanksgiving turkey to blow the family away, man. That'll be awesome. We'll take that break. We'll come back. More to go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.